We want to take a closer look at this tonight with Teresita Schaffer, Director of the South Asia Program of the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, and a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for South Asia. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
We started off talking about the concerns about Pakistan's nuclear arsenal. Who's guarding it?
The Army is, and the security of the Army, the security of the nuclear arsenal is as good or as bad as the Pakistan Army at the moment. At the moment, I think that's pretty good.
Based on what reasoning?
The Army is a strong institution. It is very hierarchical and disciplined. There have been very few instances historically of officers going off the reservation. And at the moment, they have every reason to want to keep the nuclear assets buttoned up.
And so given the instability that we're seeing inside of Pakistan, how concerned should Americans be that these weapons could possibly fall into the wrong hands?
The real danger in Pakistan is not that you would see the government in some sense collapsing, but that you will see ink blots of expanding control by people outside the government. The government's deal that it struck in the Swat Valley ceded a piece of government to control to a group of insurgents. If that spreads, then it shifts the political balance and it reduces the government's ability to keep order. It puts pressure on the army to adjust its policies and loyalties.
If I were to ask you, what is the real problem in Pakistan, what would you say?
The biggest problem in Pakistan, in my view, is that the institutions of the state are under attack by a group of insurgents. I'm not saying it's going to fall instantly. I don't believe it is, but I think this really is a serious danger.
There seems to be always a concern on the part of the United States that there is a disconnect on the part of the Pakistani leadership, that they do not see the Taliban threat in the way that Americans see the Taliban threat. How do you see this?
I think there's something to that. There is always a reluctance on the part of Pakistan's leaders and its army to see their own citizens as a threat. That's a good instinct. There's also, with the present government, a strong view that they've got to negotiate their differences rather than engage the army against their own people. Unfortunately, I think the real answer is that they've got to do both, and that they need a much stronger response from the civilian institutions of government, which haven't performed terribly well.
Only a few seconds left. Are you optimistic that they'll be successful?
At the moment, I'm very concerned, but I think they could be successful if they mustered both energy and cleverness.
Teresita Schaffer, thank you very much for talking with us.
You're very welcome.